Afternoon, we're here with Bob. Bob, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Bob Buckholz. I'm a lieutenant with the Pharaohs.
Okay. What kind of background do you have?
Well, that's pretty long. I was in the Air Force for 17 years, stationed all over the world, and I was a recruiter as well. Um, Got out of the Air Force, went to work for the largest glass company in Arizona, my family owned down in Phoenix. Went from there to managing racetracks, to newspapers, racetracks, pro race cars, and then out here to with my brother's glass company, and then worked for Chrysler as a test driver and slash mechanic.
You're an author also, right?
Yes, I've written 5 books, all published. Um,
Names? What are the names of
White
them?
House Deception was the first book, and there's a character in there that comes back in three of the different novels. Second book was you'd have to ask me this, wouldn't you? Well, White House Deception, Sins of Silas, Aubrey's Innocence, Chased into Reality, and Disconnected.
Okay. All right. And as far as the hobby, what got you into it?
Oh, I've been into cars my whole life. My dad was a real car guy. He was Ford. That was it. But as you
Blue Oval didn't rub off on you at all,
well,
did it?
it did. As a matter of fact, I had 63 Mercury,
Okay.
S55, 64 Mercury. I've had several Mercuries. Had a beautiful 69 Thunderbird, 65 Thunderbird. Had a lot of Fords. The only reason I have a Chevy now is it was free.
Man after my own heart there. Can't turn down a free car or a good running
Nope.
69 T-Bird.
Nope.
All right. If you were to suggest to somebody to get into a club or even into hot rodding, what would you say to them?
Well, nowadays it's not the cheapest thing to get into now, but I think if you are good at restoring, find yourself an older car for restoration. You know, it's still going to be expensive, but it's not going to be as expensive as buying one that's already done. You know, and hot rodding is one of the funnest things you can do because of the camaraderie that you end up with, you know, especially with like the Pharaohs. You know, this is one of the few car clubs that charges you one time, that's it. You don't have to pay a monthly fee. So many of these other car clubs charge you monthly. That was one of the biggest reasons I didn't want to get into a car club. But Pharaohs, you know, you're one time, you pay your fee, and then from then on you're going to shows, you're talking to other car gurus, I guess you could call
Okay.
them, and that's always a good conversation.
It is. You meet a lot of good friends from what I've found myself.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
And cars, just one other thing,
Yeah,
there isn't a car made that doesn't have a story
very true.
with these older cars. And when you get into all these guys' different stories on how they got them, what they had to do to them, or what they didn't have to do to them, or, you know, the stories are just fantastic.
Does this one have a name?
Yeah, Pam, my wife calls this Johnny because it was her brother's car. He bought it in 1982. It's been in our family ever since. It went from him to us, back to him, back to us, back to his son, and then back to us.
Okay,
I won't go into the whole story.
fair enough. Out of the different people that you run into out there, is there anyone that would have inspired you to actually join the Pharaohs or any car club at that point?
Well, actually, Gene Kirkman that does Chillin' on Beale, him and Dooley, they were probably the two. And then Mike Goodman came to me and he says, you should join us. And, you know, so it was kind of an invite. So, yeah.
Okay. What would you want to say to anybody? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit. What would you want to say to anybody that was kind of on the fence about getting into it other than expense?
Well, some people think that it's a time situation. I don't have enough time to do this, but there's nothing that says you have to be at this car show or you have to go to this car run. You know, you just do it if you can. And there's no there's no judgment if you cannot go to it. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons too.
And if you had a club of your own, what would you want to do more of? Would it be backyard barbecues, more cruising, more shows, something else?
No, I guess probably car runs. You know, going to different places, especially supporting your local businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Do you have anything else that you want to say to anyone out there?
No.
Okay.
Appreciate the interview.
Yeah. Thank you for coming down, and we'll get some pictures of your car here in a bit. I'll tag everything together.
Well, you've already got one of the best pictures.